everybody, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new here. My name is Allie and welcome to the top comment where I read and react to insane internet chaos in the form of Reddit stories. So if you like this type of content, please don't forget to subscribe. It's totally free and it means a lot to me. On today's episode, we are going to be exploring the world of Bridezillas, aka a bride who completely loses her mind after she gets engaged. For whatever reason, the world may never know. I certainly don't understand it, but I think it's funny to hear about other people losing their minds. So let's get into it. Story number 1 comes from r/wedding drama, and it says, How I Lost a Friendship by Calling Out a Bridezilla, my bridesmaid horror story. Hi everyone, I'm here to share my experience. My long-term friend got engaged and asked me to be her bridesmaid. She's in her early 30s and has been a bridesmaid at several weddings, often complaining about demanding and unfair brides, vowing to never be like them. She even said, if I start acting crazy, tell me I'm being a see you next Tuesday. Fast forward a few months and she mentioned she's been texting an old fling. She has a history of cheating on her partners, but I hoped she had moved past that. This was the first red flag. The second red flag appeared when she sat me down to inform me that my ex-girlfriend would also be a bridesmaid and that I should be kind and polite to her. Although my ex and the bride had been friends, they hadn't really spoken for 2 to 3 years before the engagement. For background, I dated this ex for less than a year when I was 16 and 17 and she was 21. After we broke up, she harassed me at parties, spread rumors about my sexuality, and contacted my family. Wow, she sounds lovely. I've always remained civil, but I resent her for how she treated me. I felt insulted at the bride's insinuation that I might cause trouble, especially since my ex now struggles with alcohol and is way more likely to cause a scene. Nonetheless, I decided to let it go for the sake of her wedding. The final red flag occurred when we started a group chat with the bridesmaids. One night, the bride shared photos of her wedding shoes and the maid of honor shared a picture of her baby. I liked and commented on both. The next morning, I woke up to a rude text from the bride instructing me not to like or comment on the maid of honor's baby pictures because she didn't want the maid of honor's baby to overshadow her wedding, which was still over a year away. Initially, I thought I'd let it slide and simply responded, okay. Then I remembered all of our previous conversations and complaints. In response, I did what she had once asked, but I told her that she was being a see you next Tuesday. She flipped out, criticized me, threw some low blows, and insulted me. At that point, I decided to drop out of the wedding and told her to find another friend and a bridesmaid. From what I've heard, they didn't go through with the wedding. She continues to cheat and she badmouths me whenever she gets the chance. As for me, I'm so thankful I didn't get involved any further. Woo! You sure dodged a bullet with that friend. She sounds like a crazy, unhinged lunatic in all the worst ways possible. I have like a standard and a rule within myself of if I'm friends with somebody and I find out that they are cheating on their partner, I will tell their partner, okay? You are not safe with me. Your confidentiality like that is not safe because if you are cheating on someone, they deserve to know. I would want to know. I would absolutely want somebody to do that for me because cheating is a deal breaker. If you cheat, there is no coming back from it. We are done because I know I'll never be able to get over it. Like if you think you can get over it and you've never been cheated on before, honestly, look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you deserve better because if someone's going to cheat on you once, they're going to cheat again. You're going to constantly live in this perpetual state of heartache and anxiety, and you don't want that for yourself. That's a miserable life. So I think that based on that first red flag, girl, you probably should have left a while ago, but I understand, you know, maybe wanting to slide it under the rug and let bygones be bygones or whatever, but I still would have dumped her at that point. The second thing is that she definitely invited your ex to try and with you because she doesn't care about you. She doesn't value you as a human. Your ex sounds, one, disgusting. She was 21 when you were 16 and 17. Go find another 21-year-old today. You don't need to prey on underage people like that. That's really gross. That's very alarming. And then also the fact that she outed you to your family is horrible. She sounds like she sucks. And maybe her and the bride will become best friends because they are both two horrible women. Let's get into these comments. The top comment here says, you understood the assignment and completed it with distinction. function. You really did. And I mean, honestly, if they didn't even go through with the wedding, you were just wasting your time being a bridesmaid anyways, because it's not cheap. You have to buy the dress, you have to get shoes, you have to do hair and makeup, plus all of the things that you do as a bridesmaid for the bride. It's a really fun time. I've been a bridesmaid before and I'm about to be one again at my brother's wedding, and I'm so excited. I love it. But it is expensive, and it is kind of a time commitment too. And so if you're not going to be friends with this person and you don't share core values, good on you for leaving. Maybe next time notice the red flags as soon as they start red flagging, aka being friends with somebody who is a habitual cheater. The next comment says, you just followed her instructions. Your ex-friend is a real piece of shit. I agree. She sucks. The next comment says, ew, she sounds deplorable. Good riddance. The next one says, reading your ex being made a co-bridesmaid that wasn't an ex-girlfriend, that was a predator. And aw, that poor groom. Yeah, if they didn't get married though, he definitely dodged a bullet, and I sure hope that he sees it. I feel like wedding planning can make or break a couple. It's either going to bring you closer together in kind of, unison of being stressed, or it's going to completely break you. And if it breaks you ahead of time, don't sweat it. You'll find someone else. At least you didn't go through with spending all the money and doing all the things just to be let down in the end. You're fine. I think I would rather know ahead of time than to know after. But the next comment says, whoa, impressed with your boundaries. All things aside, that ex-girlfriend sounds scary. The last comment says, this belongs in r-malicious compliance. Speaking of malicious compliance, that's where this next story is coming from. It says, comply with Bridezilla or leave? Okay. My friend Gemma tells me about how she and an entire group of bridesmaids left a wedding after their friend dared them to. So this happened a few weeks ago. A longtime friend of Gemma's group was getting married in another state, but the day of the wedding, she suddenly had a problem with one of the girls who wore glasses, which she didn't have an issue with beforehand. The glasses girl told her she wouldn't wear them during the vows and pictures, but the Bridezilla didn't want her wearing them at all and was screaming at her not to put them on for the rest of the day. Obviously, she couldn't do that since she needed to see. The argument got more heated until Bridezilla gave her the ultimatum to take them off and keep them off or leave. This is when Gemma and the other bridesmaids stepped in and told Bridezilla she was way out of line and that they would all leave if she forced the girl with glasses to leave. Bridezilla called their bluff, and being maids of honor, the bridesmaids left the wedding and decided to celebrate and eat at a restaurant before they headed back home. Bridezilla called them several times after they left, telling them that she suddenly didn't care about the glasses anymore and begged them to come back to the venue. But they not only refused, but also chose to end the friendship with her altogether. Gemma said that the wedding proceeded as follows, just minus the bridesmaids and a few awkward stares because everyone heard the Bridezilla screaming from earlier. Gemma told me that the Bridezilla has always been like this, throwing a tantrum when she doesn't get her way, and that the meltdown at the wedding was just the last straw for them. Personally, I think she's got the patience of a monk if she puts up with her for that long. Ugh, yikes. My circle is very small and I love it that way. I don't have room for filler friends. I don't have room for people that certainly act like this. This is crazy. You're gonna throw a tantrum over someone wearing glasses? Horrible. So bad. Awful behavior. Very classless. Very untasteful. Very not demure. Why are you gonna yell at somebody for needing glasses? Like, what is wrong with you? I don't have glasses, but if I ever need them, I will be getting frames. I will not be putting contact lenses in my eyeballs. The thought of that is horrible. I can't imagine sticking my finger in my eye and wiggling around a contact and then having to sit in them all day. I would feel them. I would notice them there, and it would drive me crazy. So yeah, I would absolutely be getting regular glasses. So f you to this bride. You suck. Let's go ahead and see what the comments have to say about this Bridezilla from hell. The top comment says, I'm picturing half a dozen women in butt-ugly bridesmaids dresses sitting around a table at an Applebee's getting drunk and laughing their asses off at Bridezilla. Heartwarming and well-deserved. Yeah, there's nothing like the company of good friends who are all on the same page. I love that they all left with her. I think it's really important when women stick together like this, even if it is against another woman who is clearly in the wrong. What is wrong with these people? Where do they find the audacity? The next comment says, I would buy them a drink and ask to join the festivities. I was once kicked out out of a wedding party the week before a wedding for being taller than the bride. We had been friends for 15 years by that point, and so it's not like my height was new information. 2 of the other bridesmaids called her out and were kicked out as well. I was stuck with a seafoam green rhinestone encrusted ball gown that I never wore and donated to a charity that gives prom dresses to underprivileged girls. Hopefully someone got to love that dress. I hope so too. I'm sure that really made someone's day. That was so kind of you to donate it. What a good heart you have. The next comment says, rest in peace to the bloke marrying her. Someone replies to this and says, turns out he's an optometrist. I see what you did there. Hindsight's really 2020, isn't it? Oh, I dropped my phone. It's fine. It didn't break. Yay. All right, we're going to move along to the next story. This one comes from the r/Bridezilla's own subreddit. There's a whole subreddit community dedicated to Bridezillas, which I just think is iconic. This one says, I was a Zilla substitute and I don't regret it. So recently I saw this sub and I thought it'd be fun to share this. My oldest brother is 28 and I'm now 21, but this happened when I was 17 and still living at home with my parents. My brother and sister-in-law were getting married, and when they were going through wedding planner candidates, they landed on apparently the best one in her field. After their initial first meeting with her, it became clear that while she knows what she's doing and will help them have a gorgeous wedding, she didn't have an ounce of kindness, very catty and condescending, especially with my sister-in-law, who's an absolute sweetheart who doesn't like conflict or calling people out. Since my brother couldn't attend most of the meetings after the initial one, travels a lot with his job, and didn't want my sister-in-law to be alone and possibly let her wedding planning walk all over her, he enlisted me. He just walked into my room and was like, you might be just enough of a bitch to speak her language. And then he told me the story and asked me to be at all the meetings that he won't be able to attend. And you know what? I loved every minute of it because no one can act like that with my family. I attended a total of 6 meetings. She was big on time, and the first time I went with my sister-in-law, she commented about our lack of punctuality because of parking issues before she even greeted us, so I started timing her on every last little thing. I told her we wanted a detailed time frame for everything, from wine tasting to cake and flower meetings to lighting to priest meetings, etc. And if we went over her time frame, I made snarky comments on a lack of punctuality. She made a comment about a type of cake that not everyone has a palate for as a direct hit at my sister-in-law, so when the planner nearly choked on her salad in the food tasting, I commented that not everyone has table manners. She commented on my sister-in-law's weight at the first dress shopping. Next time I commented about her top not fitting her right and that not all her clothes are work appropriate. There were a lot more, but I can't write them all down or this post would be a mini novel length. My sister-in-law, laughing after having retreated into herself from the planner's comments, was worth it though. By the wedding day, the planner hated me so much that she avoided me and dodged me all day and night. I have no regrets. Man, I can't imagine how bad your sister-in-law would have felt if you weren't there for her. She really is lucky to have you in her corner because this lady seems like a nightmare, crazy lady for no reason. It sounds like she hates her job. And if you hate your job, go get a new one. You don't have to be stuck in the same thing you do forever. You don't have to be stuck in that career. If you don't like it, go change it. It's that simple. It really is. I have changed jobs so many times. If I don't like it, I'm not going to make other people miserable. This lady just sounds like a The top comment on this post says, every bride needs someone like you in their corner. I agree, especially on their wedding day or the planning where things are getting crazy, stressful, and hectic. You did a wonderful job. The next comment says, man, I would be a great rent for polite ladies who can't stand up for themselves. Anybody else need that? You know, I don't think I would need one of those. I learned how to grow a backbone a few years ago, and it sounds like that's a problem for a lot of people. So ladies, stand up for yourselves, even against the crazy woman. And also to the sister-in-law, girl, you could have fired her. You could have easily found someone else. Just because she's the best in her field doesn't mean that there isn't somebody else equally as competent who has a kind heart and loves weddings. The next one says, I'm so sorry, but she had it coming. She absolutely did. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. The next one says, Zilla sub or bride guardian? And the last comment says, very cathartic read. Thank you so much, OP. Yes, thank you for sharing your story about this terrible, awful lady. I don't know if you were necessarily a bridezilla to her. I think you were just getting revenge on her. But either way, I'm glad you came to Reddit to post it because this is is a funny story. All right. The very last story that we are going to read for today comes from r/ask Reddit. And it says, husbands of Bridezillas, how did you handle your wife's attitude on your day? And did it change your image of her? Also, how bad was she? So we're going to find out from some husbands who either married Bridezillas or almost married Bridezillas. The top comment says, was actually interviewed for the show Bridezillas. I said I wouldn't get married if we were on that show. Anyways, she was the same during the marriage. It was a typical bad marriage because of finances. She was a spendthrift and living that way was just causing so much suffering. We had an expensive wedding that I'm still paying for. So there's a show called Bridezillas and she wanted to be on it, and your business would have been all over the internet for everybody to see. I mean, yikes, you really got to be careful with that. That can be a life ruiner, I would imagine. The next comment says, I was the bride in this situation. My fiance is a wonderful man, but terrible with organization and planning, and there's no way we could afford a wedding planner. Trying to afford even the most budget-friendly wedding in a major city means a lot of price comparisons, bargaining with vendors, and keeping track of all the details. I honestly never really cared that much about my wedding, but only that it was outside, had good food and alcohol, and wasn't that expensive. But even that required hours of my time and energy and left me exhausted and frustrated. My fiance did everything he could to help, but it's simply not his skill set, and his help often turned out to be more of a hindrance than anything. I started to notice how irritable and frustrated I was anytime we talked about the wedding. I was picking arguments whenever my fiance mentioned anything because his comments would be so basic. Hey babe, we should totally have steak for dinner. Sure babe, I'll just completely replan the menu I just spent a month arguing over the caters with over trying to get it to cost less than $7,000 for 50 people. Dress shopping was a nightmare. I'm mildly overweight, maybe 20 to 30 pounds over what I should be, but slowly working on it, and the whole experience made me feel like a whale who didn't even deserve to be married. I went home and freaked out on him and told him that I hated our wedding and couldn't we just forget the whole thing. So we canceled our wedding, and next May we'll be flying to Italy with just our parents and siblings and getting married in a villa in Tuscany. 2 weeks in Europe will be half the price of a cheap state park wedding for 50 people in the city. Best decision we ever made. That's super cool that you recognized you were being a bridezilla and all of the things that were causing that. I would imagine that would be very, very stressful to try and plan it all on your own, especially if your husband's not great with it. It's also the vague questions from him of, hey, we should totally have steak. Okay, what type of steak? What type of sauces? What type of sides? What type of drinks are gonna go with it? You know what I mean? It's way more than just, hey babe, we should have steak. So I totally get your frustration. I think it's good that you canceled it, and going to Europe for 2 weeks, you're not just making a wedding day, you're making a whole wedding experience out of it, and I love that for you. The next comment says, know someone whose wedding included the groom's father getting into a bloody bathroom fist fight with a cousin, and said cousin's girlfriend was getting tased by the cops who had just gotten called because of the initial incident. Because of the groom's family history, the bride basically just shrugged it off and said okay and went back to her wedding. We love an unbothered queen. I'm glad she was still able to make the most of her night despite other people being crazy and potentially trying to ruin it for her. It's nice that she didn't let that happen. I'm sure her husband really appreciated that too. If his family's been like that, he guarantee knows that they're that way, and he's probably been putting up with it for a while too, so it's nice he met someone that matches his chill. The next comment says, former wedding photographer here. Momzillas are really the more common problem. Ooh, a momzilla. Maybe we should do an episode on those. I bet they get pretty heated, especially the boy moms. Maybe that's what we'll do next week. Maybe we'll do momzillas and boy moms. What do you think? Leave me a comment below. The next comment says, I'm not the husband, but I was accused of being a bridezilla. I've got 3 sisters. We created a rotation for the maid of honor. My sister, who was mine, asked that she'd be the only one in a long dress, bridesmaid wise. Sure, outdoor June wedding, others can wear knee length. Older sister complains about having to show her legs. She complains about everything, and I start to cave and say, well, maybe all my sisters can wear long. No. My mom and other sisters said this is not okay to be bullied. Older sister complains about having to wear a dress. Told her I was fine with a lady's suit. I want her to feel pretty and comfortable too. Apparently, all this made me a bridezilla in her eyes. It is still sporadically mentioned by her to this day. Maid of Honor's sisters shut it down pretty quickly. And I cried over wedding stamps to my mom because I thought the wax seal would make them too heavy for regular stamps. Oh, honey, you just sound stressed, and your sister sounds like she's just trying to take advantage because she's your sister and she feels like she can get away with it. You know, if it was anybody else's wedding, she would not even complain one single bit about what dress she has to wear. Go based off of what you feel comfortable with. But if the bride's telling you to wear a long dress, girl, just do it. You're in the dress for a few hours and then you never have to look at it again if you don't want to. Just make it easy on her. Like, these people sure do have some audacity to sit there and try to tell people what to do. I just think it's crazy. I couldn't imagine ever treating anybody like this ever, ever, ever. This is so cringy and so embarrassing. And now even more so, people are really starting to stand up for themselves and say, you know what? I'm not going to take this crap from you, and they're walking away. So just be a good person. The last comment says, so one thing I've noticed, it is not the fiance that usually notices it. They just see it as stress from planning. They usually think, she just wants her perfect day. Why is everyone else being an asshole about it? The people that will see the person as the bridezilla are usually her bridesmaids first. This will be followed by the wedding vendors. If it is really bad, then the family will see it along with the rest of the wedding party. The soon-to-be husband is the last to see, as he is usually shielded from it by friends and family unless it gets totally out of control. Yeah, and then I think a lot of these poor grooms get tricked into marrying these crazy ladies who go off and turn into wifezillas because, you know, if you're going to act like a bridezilla at your wedding, I guarantee you're some sort of menace to society that's going to probably treat her husband terribly. So comment below. Do you know a bridezilla? Were you a bridezilla? Be honest. Don't you lie. I see you. Tell me the truth. All right. I love you guys. I will see you on Thursday for the next one, where we're going to step it up a notch from Bridezillas and talk about weddings gone wrong. Maybe caused by bridezillas, maybe not. We'll see. Bye.